me on Instagram at Dre Baldwin. I'm also going to jump on TikTok live at the same time. Eventually, when we get more devices, maybe I'll add Facebook, I'll add YouTube, but for now, we'll just do Instagram and TikTok. So what we're going to talk about here today, I got a couple different topics. So what I'm going to do is let you all vote. I used to do this back in the past. I'm going to try it again. Two topics we could talk about today is one, I can continue on from 2 weeks ago. I wasn't here last Monday, but 2 weeks ago, I started talking about principles that big businesses use that small businesses can apply. So if you want me to talk about that, put the letter B, or I could talk about why you need deadlines in your life, why you need deadlines in your business, why you need deadlines in your life to actually get more things done. Put the letter D for deadline. So I want you to do this in the chat here on Clubhouse. So B is big business principles that small businesses can apply, or put the letter D is in dog, as in deadlines, if you want me to talk about why you need deadlines in your life and why you need deadlines in your business. So B for big business principles, we can apply it to small businesses, or D, why you need deadlines for actual productivity and efficiency and getting things done. So while you all are voting, again, B for big business, D for deadlines, let me introduce myself for those of you not familiar with me. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete, author of 35 books, and done 4 TED Talks, created this whole brand called Work on Your Game. What we do here is relatively simple. All we do is extract the tools and the processes to help athletes get to the top of the sports world. We translate those tools over to the business world to help professionals like yourselves perform at your highest level, do so consistently, and of course, bring in more money, make more money in your business. So I see over on Instagram a lot of D's in the voting. Let me see what we got over here on Clubhouse. Let's see, let me scroll up. Yeah, we got a lot of D's, so I think the deadlines is going to win. So yeah, that's what we'll do today. So I see a few of you voted for B. Judith, Natasha, Susanna, Dr. Jeannie, good morning. Sorry, we're not going to do that this week. We will eventually get back to more of those because I got a whole list of those. 2 weeks ago, I started that. I did the first 3, but I actually got 21 of those principles. So we will eventually catch up with those. I'm going to put those up for vote every week and get something else. And if something else wins, we'll do something else. If that wins, we'll get to that. Good news is we got plenty of material over here. I will never run out of content. So let's talk about why you need deadlines. That's what we're going to talk about here today. Let me see how many points I got. I think I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I got 9. 9 points why you need deadlines. So we're going to go through these pretty quickly. So I need all of you, if you can, I need you to listen really fast so I don't have to talk slow because we only got 27 minutes left here. And I want to leave some time for some open discussion if anybody has anything to add here. Instagram, thank you for the votes as well. So let's get into this. Why you need deadlines in your life, why you need deadlines in your business, why you just need deadlines, period. So the definition of a deadline is a date or time before which something must be done. Let me say that again. A date or time before which something must be done. So what we're going to talk about is how deadlines help our productivity, how they help our efficiency, our effectiveness, and our overall quality of performance, results, and life. So deadlines do all these things, and you probably would want to use them. Let's talk about why you want to use them. Let's get right to it. Again, I got 9 points here. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, so I need you all to listen really fast so I don't have to slow down. Number 1, Parkinson's Law. We're talking about why you need deadlines. Number 1 reason is Parkinson's Law, which states a task will expand or contract based on the amount of time given for its completion. In other words, if I give you 30 minutes to get something done, you will get it done in 30 minutes. If I give you 2 hours to get it done, you will take 2 hours to get it done. This is just a phenomenon of humanity that we tend to take as much time as we have available to get things done. When we have less time, we tend to get things done faster. When we have more time, we get things done. It takes longer to get things done. So I'm talking about when you're doing this with yourself, you tend to move a lot faster. If any of you, how many of you have had a situation where let's say a supervisor at work or your boss at work throws a task on your desk or into your hands and says, get this done in a time frame that seems virtually impossible? It's like, how the hell am I supposed to get this done? Put number 1 in the chat. You ever had that happen? You have someone who has authority over you for whatever reason, and they give you a task that seems damn near impossible to get done, but they say, this is pretty much what you have to do, and you have no choice but to get it done. Put the number 1 in the chat. You ever had that happen? And also put the number 1 in the chat if you actually got it done, even though it seemed impossible for you to get done. I have people who are members of our coaching program who tell me this, that they work in corporate settings where they get so much work thrown at them that they have to get done in these time frames that are like, how the hell am I supposed to get this done? But somehow, some way, every single time, and I don't know what it is, must be some type of magic, they all seem to get it done. All right, how many of you have had that happen? I think a bunch of you have had that experience. So, Jeannie Snyder, I see you had it happen. Tarika had it. Nyla, I see you've had it happen over here on Instagram. Brandon Joseph, Gadget Guy. Okay, all of us have had that happen. This is Parkinson's law in effect. Now, how many of you, I want you to put the number 2 in the chat. How many of you have something that you have been telling yourself that you need to get done, like right now, something that you need to get done, but because there is no urgency, because there's no deadline, because there's no penalty for you procrastinating, it still is on your to-do list and you still have not gotten to it? Put the number 2. If you have something on your to-do list right now that you know you could get done and you know you should get done and you want to get done, but for whatever reason, you are just being damn lazy and you are not doing it. Put the number 2 in the chat if you are guilty of that. If you got some things on your list right now that you simply have not gotten to. Okay, so there's a lot of responses on the 2s. We have fewer responses on the 1s, but I got a lot of 2s in here. Tarika, Trisha, Judith with multiple 2s. Nyla, Dr. Jeannie, Dee Dee, Judith again. Lori, Natasha gave a 3, so I think that's even more. Okay, they should correct it to a 2. Susanna. Okay, so all of you have had that happen. Brandon, Gadget Guy, see, all of you had that happen as well. This is all former Parkinson's law. All right, this is all Parkinson's law. When we give ourselves time, we take our time. And we give ourselves no time, we tend to get things done. So you can't give yourself an unlimited amount of time to get things done because you're human and human nature says you will take forever and things will never happen. Some of you got things on your to-do list from last year you still haven't done. So you got to respect your own clock. The key to dealing with Parkinson's law is either A, you have to have someone basically working with you or basically handing you tasks who you respect enough that when they give you a deadline, you respect it and you do it, or B, you got to learn to respect yourself enough to honor your own deadlines. And in my experience, I find many people have a hard time honoring their own deadlines. So you might want to get some help with that. Let's move on to point number 2. We're talking here today why you need deadlines. One of the best ways to get things done in life is having to get things done. How many of you have ever had something that you absolutely had to get done and then you got it done? Put the number 3 in the chat. Something that maybe, let me frame that question more specifically. How many of you ever had something that you knew you needed to get done and you weren't doing it and you were taking your time and you were taking forever and you were putting it off and procrastinating and saying, I'll get to it tomorrow, I'll get to it tomorrow, I'll get to it tomorrow. And finally, for some whatever reason, a deadline got put on your head to where if you don't get this done by this time, there's going to be a severe penalty that you wanted to avoid. And then all of a sudden, in 24 hours, in 3 days, in a week, something that you've been putting off for 6 months, all of a sudden you got it done. Put the number 3 in the chat if any of you have ever experienced this phenomenon. You had this thing you knew you needed to get done. You were taking your sweet time, not doing anything, not getting to it. But then all of a sudden, there was an urgency put on you that you were like, okay, if I don't get this done, this is going to be a serious problem. And all of a sudden, immediately, amazingly, let's say, you got it done. Okay, so a bunch of you have had that happen. I'm seeing a lot of 3s in here. So the first point, unity word was Parkinson's law. Tasks will expand or contract given the amount of time available for them. So here's the reason why that happens. When we are forced to do things, we move ourselves to action. All right, every human being is capable of this. None of us is more motivated than the other. None of us, it has nothing to do with how much of a hard worker you are, the level of motivation, not even your level of skill or talent or available resources. None of these differentiates us. When we have something to do, we all can get things done. This points to you respecting the mandate of having to get things done. And again, it's where that mandate comes from that makes the most difference. Who do you respect enough that if they give you a mandate, you'll get it done? When you were a child, your parents gave you a mandate, you got it done. If you played a sport, your coach gives you a mandate, you get it done. When you're at work, your supervisor gives you a mandate, you get it done. If you ever been in court in your life right now that can give you a mandate that you'll get things done, is it the person in the mirror? If it's not, it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. But if it's not the person in the mirror, then you need to respect this reality and enroll someone in your life who can give you a mandate that you will actually respect. If it's not you, get someone in place who it can be. It doesn't have to be you. Good news about the world that we're in today is that we are so interconnected that what we used to call 6 degrees of separation is now about 2 or 3 degrees of separation. So you can find someone who can hold that space of accountability for you in your life if it's not you. Because understand, folks, none of us have to be great at everything. We just have to know where we are great, focus on that, and know where we're not great, and make sure we delegate and offload those tasks to someone or something other than ourselves. Nothing wrong with this. But what is wrong is if you realize that you have a weakness in the area and don't do anything about it. Now that is wrong. So just need to know who can command that level of respect from you. And so it can start on the inside and expand to the outside, or it can start on the outside and expand to the inside. The whole point is it needs to get done because, again, we're in a results-based business. Moving on, number 3. We are talking here about Parkinson's, well, not Parkinson's law. We're talking about why you need deadlines. Parkinson's law is point number 1. Number 3, we perform at our best when we are under pressure. We perform at our best when we are under pressure. Now, some of you, how many of you, put the number 4 in the chat if you don't like being under pressure? Be honest. How many of you do not like pressure? You don't like the concept of being under pressure. How many of you have ever been in put number 4 in the chat if any of these things I'm saying refer to you? You ever been in a conversation with a salesperson and it felt like they were pressuring you and you did not like it? Put the number 4. How many of you have been in a conversation with a person, period? And it felt like they were trying to pressure you into either making a decision or making a certain decision or giving you a certain answer, and you just did not like it, and you might even gotten a little annoyed with the person, maybe even told them that you don't like the fact that they were pressuring you. Put the number 4 in the chat. Any of you ever felt like you were being pressured by a person and you just didn't like it? Or if you just generally don't like the feeling of being under pressure. If you just don't like being under pressure, put the number 4 in the chat. Now, all of you putting number 4s in the chat. Didi, Brady, hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Lori English, Brandon Joseph over there on IG, Fat Pocket on TikTok. Understand that you do your best work when you're under pressure. Even if you don't like the feeling of being under pressure, you still get things done when you're under pressure. So this is kind of the trade-off of the discomfort of being under pressure, is that you still get stuff done. Definition of pressure, folks. Listen to this definition closely. Is the use of persuasion, influence, or intimidation to make someone do something. Let me say it again. The use of persuasion, influence, or intimidation to make someone do something. And everybody who's listening to this probably would like to do more stuff. How many of you want to increase your productivity? Put number 5 in the chat if you would like to be more productive. You just want to produce more of whatever it is that you're doing right now. Maybe you need to produce more ideas. Maybe you know exactly what you're doing. You just want to produce more of that. You know what works for you, and you would love to 10x or 5x or even 2x the production of the things that you have in your life that are actually good and that you actually want. Put the number 5 in the chat if you would like to be more productive. Okay, so all you putting 5s in the chat, guess what? Pressure will help you be more productive. All right. Because again, pressure is persuasion, influence, or intimidation that moves you to action. Brandon Joseph, I see you over there. The key is creating pressure ourselves rather than waiting on life to bring the pressure on us. Because see, if you wait for life to bring the pressure to you, it may come at inopportune times. Whereas if you're creating the pressure yourself, you control the situation. You control the situation. And Edward over there on TikTok, I got 20 copies of those books because we sell them, bitch. All right, that's why we got 20 copies on the shelf. Excuse my language, BWC. But anyway, the whole point is we perform at our best when we are under pressure when something or someone is forcing us to action. All right, so you want the pressure. It's a good thing for you. Point number 4. We are talking today about why you want deadlines in your life. Number 4, it keeps your life on schedule. All right, deadlines keep your life on schedule. Okay, and this is good because our time is limited. All right, you only have 24 hours in a day, and your life itself has a deadline, by the way. All right, that's when your time actually expires. See, the difference with that deadline as opposed to the conscious ones I'm talking about now, you usually don't know when your life deadline is going to hit, but we do know we have 24 hours in a day. You got 24 hours in a day, so that means you should be using some type of day planner, calendar, scheduler, etc. Because what it does is it lays out the limits to how much time you have, and you got to fit everything that needs to get done within that time frame. How many of you do not use any type of? Be honest with this. Put the number 6 in the chat. If you don't use any type of planner as far as scheduling out your day, if you do not schedule your day, put the number 6 in the chat. Meaning you don't have a calendar, you don't have a day planner, you don't use an app on your phone. You basically get to work and you just start doing stuff, and when the day's over, the day's over. How many of you, if anybody wants to be honest about that, put the number 6 in the chat. You do not use any type of planner or anything for the way that you organize your day. Any of you put the number 6 in. You need to start scheduling out your day. Why? Because the calendar is the simplest way to start holding yourself accountable when it comes to your time. Because again, the calendar is finite. There's only so many days I'm recording this in May 2024, 31 days in the month of May. So we know that you only have 18 days left to do whatever you need to do this month. and it's 8:15 a.m. The day ends officially at 11:59, going into 12 a.m. So you know that you officially have, what is that, 12 for a little less than 16 hours to get done whatever it is you're going to get done over the course of today. So the calendar is the simplest way to start holding yourself accountable when it comes to your time. And the calendar is a deadline. By itself, the calendar is a deadline. What's going on, NYCs? I see you over there on TikTok. Number 5, we're talking here today about why you need deadlines in life. We're making good time here. Number 5 is no time for bullshitting. When you are on deadline, you have no time for nonsense. You have no time for playing around. You have no time for lollygagging and wasting time. Let me ask this question. How many of you, when you're at work, especially those of you, actually, this is going to apply to anybody. It doesn't matter where you work. You finish a task and you know what the next task is, but before you get from task 1 to task 2, and be honest with this, put the number 7 in the chat if I'm describing you. You check social media and 5-10 minutes go by before you get to the next task. Put the number 7 in the chat if that's you, if I just described you. You finish one task, but before you get to the next task, you check email, you check your text messages, you check social media, you start scrolling, or if there are people around you, you go talk to some other person, and you basically do a whole bunch of bullshit before you get to the next thing. Put the number 7 in the chat if I just described you, and you know that you're doing it, and you do this consistently. Okay, so everybody's guilty of this. I'm even guilty of this. I do it sometimes as well. When you're on deadline, no, you don't do that. When you're on deadline and you know something needs to get done, all of a sudden your urgency goes up, your wasted time goes down, because we know we have a certain amount of time in which we need to get things done. And when we know we're on deadline, guess what we do? We eliminate the nonsense. When you're on deadline, the nonsense gets eliminated. Now, all of you put the number 7 in the chat, and even those of you who didn't put the number 7, but you know you're guilty of it, because everybody in here should be putting number 7 in the chat, because we're all guilty of this. This is why social media is so popular. Is understand that you already know that it's nonsense that you're doing. You already know you're engaging in a nonsense. You know it's nonsense. All right, you know that scrolling through social media and checking your email and checking your text messages and checking that group chat where people are talking about a whole lot of nothing, you know that you shouldn't be doing this, but you do it anyway. All right, you know that you're doing it. You know that this is a waste of time. You know that you should be using your time more effectively and more productively. So now that you're conscious of it, now that I'm making you consciously aware by even bringing this up, see if you can just start to build the habit of catching yourself in the moment. And we can cut that 15 minutes of social media scrolling. Let's see if we can cut it down to about 5 minutes. Let's see if we can cut you checking your text messages 6 times a day to cutting it down to about 3 times a day. Let's take baby steps. Now, if you want to go radical, you can just cut this all out completely. But let's see if we can take baby steps and just cut into that time of nonsense that you are engaging with on a daily basis. Again, when you're on deadline, you don't have a problem doing this. But see, if you're not on deadline right now, if you don't have anything urgent pressing upon you in your life right now, then you have to choose to do this. This has to be done consciously, and as a choice, you're doing it voluntarily. Whereas if there's a deadline on your head, you absolutely have no choice. So you don't even have to listen to what I'm saying if you're on deadline right now, because you're actively moving yourself to action because you need to. So if you could be on deadline all the time, imagine how much more productive you would be. Just imagine. Point number 6. We're talking here today about why you need deadlines in life. Number 6, the deadline is a source of motivation. I want you to understand something about motivation, because a lot of times I'll put out a message that I may tag as motivation, whether it was a text message I sent out or an article or a video or something, and somebody will respond. And invariably, this happens every once in a while. Someone will respond to one of my messages that has the word motivation in the title, and they'll say, well, Dre, this message is not very motivational. This message is a little bit negative. This message is a little bit, just it's leaning more negative than positive. So someone will push back and say, well, this is not motivational because there's a little bit too much negative energy in the message. Well, understand what the definition of motivation is. Motivation is the impetus that moves someone to action. That's the definition of motivation, is the impetus that moves one to action. Notice there's nothing in the definition that says it has to be positive. Nothing in the definition says it has to be positive. How many of you ever gotten a warning notice or a late notice or a cancellation notice from somewhere that you were supposed to pay a bill or you were supposed to take care of some debt, and they said, if you don't take care of this by this time, we're going to do something that you really didn't want to do, and all of a sudden you found the money? Put the number 8 in the chat. Any of you ever had that happen? They said, your electricity is getting cut off if you don't pay this bill by tomorrow, or we're going to cut off your internet, or your phone's not going to work anymore, or maybe they just went and did it, and then you realize, oh, damn, I ain't paid that bill. And then all of a sudden you found the money to pay the bill. that you've been procrastinating on taking care of all up until that point. Any of you ever had that happen? Put the number 8 in the chat. Put the number 8 in the chat. If you ever had, when you were a kid, you had a parent come up to you and say, if you don't do X by this time, you're going to get your ass whooped, or I'm going to take your phone away. And these days it's taking your phone away. Back in my day, it was going to get your ass whooped. There's no phone to take away. Or you're going to be grounded, or you can't go on that vacation, or you can't go to that party. There was some penalty that was put on your head and you had to go get things done. Or any of you ever been in a job and your boss threatened you, hey, if you don't get this thing done, there's going to be a penalty that you didn't want. Maybe you'll lose your job, et cetera, et cetera. Put the number 8 in the chat. Any of you have ever had that happen? Okay, so all of us have been in that situation in the past. Now, were any of those feelings that you had at that moment, were they positive? All right, did it feel all rainbows and sunshine at that moment when you were told, hey, if you don't do this, then there's going to be a problem? Remember when I was like 19, freshman year of college, I had ran a stop sign somewhere driving, and I got pulled over and I got a ticket, and I was a broke college kid, so I didn't immediately pay the ticket. I got on a payment plan, so it was like $50 every 2 weeks or something like that. And I hadn't made one of the payments, and they sent a letter to my home and they said, if you don't make a payment by this date, then we're going to put out a warrant for your arrest to whatever it was. Now, were they actually going to send the FBI and the National Guard to my house to arrest me over $50? Probably not, but it scared me enough that it motivated me to find the money and go make that payment. Now, again, was that a positive energy? No. But guess what? Did it motivate me to action? Absolutely it did. So motivation, folks, does not mean positive. Motivation does not mean make you feel good. Motivation means something that gets you up off of your ass and moves you to go get something done. That is what motivation means. And a deadline moves you to action. It moves you to get things done. So if a deadline motivates you and gets you to perform and produce results, then deadlines should be the name of your game. You should be using them ASAP. You should be using them yesterday. Point number 7. We're talking today about why you need deadlines in life. Number 7, deadlines are a killer of indecision. Indecision. So any of you familiar with Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich? In that book, and also one of my favorites called The Law of Success, from which Think and Grow Rich is derived, Napoleon Hill lays out the 31 major causes of failure. Yes, 31 major causes of failure. You know what one of them is? Indecision. A person's inability to actually make a decision and actually do something. The word decision, folks, comes from the root word is Latin, from the word decidere, which means to cut off. That's literally what it means. Decision means to cut off. And what you're cutting off is every other option other than the decision that you made. So when you're indecisive, that means you're trying to hold on to every option and not choosing one. Therefore, what happens is we basically kill ourselves based on the paradox of choice. We have so many choices that we don't make one, and therefore we end up dying of indecision because we can't actually pull something off. It's kind of like there's an old parable that there was a donkey who was really thirsty and really hungry. And finally he came to a point where he found water and food, but the water was 10 feet to his right and the food was 10 feet to his left. And you know what happened? The donkey died of hunger and thirst because he couldn't decide which one to go to first. All right, that's how many human beings live. Indecisive. We can't make a choice about doing anything, and we end up losing simply because we don't make a decision. We don't do anything. When you have time pressure on you and you have deadlines on you, guess what? You make decisions a whole lot faster. Any of you who's ever been under pressure, you make decisions really, really quickly because you have no time to think about it. You do not have the luxury of thinking about what to do. You just got to do something. And when you don't have time to spare or waste, guess what? No more thinking about it. You just get to it. You just do something and you figure it out along the way. And guess what happens? Usually figure things out and they end up working in your favor, which means you could have been doing this all along. But until you were properly motivated to make decisions, you weren't doing anything. You were just wasting time. So 98% of the time, we all need to do this. Deadlines kill urgency and they kill the failure-inducing habit of indecision. And the only time we're indecisive, folks, is when we believe we have time to think about stuff. If you don't think you have time to think about stuff, you just get things done. You just make choices, you do things, and you figure it out along the way. And most of us being pretty intelligent, even if the decision that you made was not the optimal one looking back, you still end up getting the outcome that you want when you actually do something. Whatever decision you make will be the right decision. Because if there was a better decision, you would have made that one. And then once you make a decision, because you're smart, because you are capable, because you are skilled, you will figure out a way to make the decision right anyway. So see, it's not about the decision being right or wrong. It's about what you do after the decision that makes it right or wrong. Everybody follow me? Good. Point number 8. We're talking here today why you need deadlines in life. Number 8, you make yourself reliable and dependable because of your consistent and predictable Punctuality. How many of that person who you know exactly what you're going to get from them? But number 9 in the chat, you value consistency. You just value knowing what you're going to get from an individual person. You just know what you're going to get. And they don't even have to be that skilled. They don't have to be that talented. Just as long as you know what you're going to get from them, you just know what they're going to bring to the table. You can plan around them. You can depend on them. You know what they're going to bring. Even if they are not that great at what they do, you can depend on them. My background in sports, I know a lot of coaches. I always value the reliable, dependable player, even if that player was not the most talented, because at least you know what they were going to do. You know what they were not going to do. Whereas the player who might be really talented, but they were inconsistent, the coach couldn't depend on that player because you didn't know which player you were going to get on which day. Are we going to get the player who looks like Michael Jordan? Are we going to get the player who looks like they shouldn't even be on the team? You didn't know what you're going to get from them. But the player who was steady, maybe not that great, maybe just a little bit above average, but they did the same thing every time, that player was valued. Why? Because human beings are creatures of habit. We like things that we can predict. We like things that we know exactly what's coming. And when you can be this person, people will tend to depend on you and rely on you. And you know what people do when they depend on and rely on a thing? Are the same thing you do with your phone service, with your internet service, with your home, with your car. They pay for it. When people know what they're going to get, they are willing to pay for it because they know what they're going to get. All right, that's the reason why they pay for it, because they know what they're getting. Does any of you pay for anything that's inconsistent? You don't know what you're going to get? Of course not. Think about what you did the last time your internet went out and it was out for an hour. What'd you do? You were calling the company. You're on social media complaining about it. You're cussing people out without them even hearing you. Why? Because the inconsistency of the delivery. But when it's consistent, you're willing to pay for it because you know exactly what you're going to get. Guess what? People are looking at you the exact same way. Number 9, last one. We're talking here today why you need deadlines in life. Number 9, forced urgency in organization. Forced urgency in organization. So any of you who doesn't find yourself always being urgent and not always quite organized, you have deadlines on your head, you have no choice but to get organized. Because otherwise, if you don't meet the deadline, well, you die. Deadlines, in simple terms, folks, deadlines force you to get your shit together. All right, that's what deadlines do. They force you to get it together. You got to get clear on what you're doing and move yourself to action in a shorter period of time than most of us are used to moving in. This is a good thing. All right, don't look at this as a negative. This is a good thing. Because what happens when you're on a deadline and you have to get things done really quickly, you know what you find out? You find out you can make decisions a lot faster than you thought you could. You find out that you can choose much quicker than you thought. You thought you needed a week to think about it. Oh, well, now you only got 10 minutes to think about it. All of a sudden, you're thinking it's a lot faster. Isn't that amazing? And if you're able to keep this energy up and emotionally accept this, not just logically, because logically, I think you're understanding everything I'm saying here, but if you can emotionally accept it, as well as understand it intellectually, then you can make this part of your normal modus operandi, your normal way of operating, which means you can do everything in your life faster and more efficiently, which means giving yourself more time in your own life. Because if instead of taking 10 days to get something done, now you get it done in 3 days, what'd you do? You just bought yourself 7 days of time. Everybody catch what I just did there? So if you can start cutting into how much time it takes you to make a decision and to get to action, the amount of time that you save, now you have banked that time and you can use it for more things. And this allows you to get more life out of your life. How many people want to get more life out of their life? I think everybody. So this deadline can be a blessing in disguise when you use it the right way. So let me recap these 9 points really quickly here. We're talking about why you need deadlines in your life. Number 1, Parkinson's law. One of the best ways to get things done is having to do them. Number 3, we perform at our best when we are under pressure. Number 4, it keeps our lives on schedule, which is good because our time is limited. Number 5, no time for bullshitting. Number 6, it is a source of motivation. Motivation just moves you to action, doesn't have to be positive. Number 7, killer of indecision. And indecision is one of the causes of failure. Number 8, making yourself reliable and dependable because of your punctuality and consistency. And number 9, forced urgency and organization. And I thought we had some time for discussion. We might have time for one comment. Anybody want to leave a comment here on Clubhouse? We've got 30 seconds here. All right, cool. Anybody have anything they want to add or ask? Thank you, Matt, for gifting me some time if we have some discussion. Mic's open. Anybody on Clubhouse have anything they want to add, ask, share on this subject of why you need deadlines in life? And if you are on TikTok or Instagram, you can leave your comments textually. I'll respond to those as well. Going once, going twice. It's awfully quiet in here. I don't know what I'm doing. We don't get too much engagement here. Maybe I'm feeding you off from a fire hose. I'll assume that that's the reason why it's so quiet here. But we are right at 8:30 on the dot. Matt, you ready to go?
I am am ready, my friend.
All right, it's all on you. Thank you, everybody, for your time and attention. Have a great week.
Awesome. Dre, thank you, as always, for sharing your time. So if everyone wants to give some...
All right, so Instagram, TikTok, you got questions or comments, put them in the comments now. I'll address them. I'm just muting myself on Clubhouse.
Social media, please follow him on all of those.
All right, so anybody got so the question is, what tools do you use to help set those deadlines? Well, the simplest one, MNDIA, is the calendar. First of all, just start scheduling your day in the calendar. So know what you're doing. It's 8:30 Eastern. I'm recording right now. So when at 9 o'clock, what's the next thing you're doing? What are you doing at 10:30? What are you doing at 11 o'clock? So first, just start putting your day in the calendar. Even if you do the same thing every day, put it in the calendar. The whole point is to start building the habit of putting the stuff that you're going to do in the calendar. Somebody said, you had me there, TikTok dude. Well, you left the comment. And that's a true story. The reason why you see many copies of the same books is because we ship these books out. You see that empty spot up there? That's because we sold books. That's because the books are sold. We're waiting for a re-up of inventory. So if my bookshelf is empty, that means we sold a bunch of books and we didn't re-up them yet. So that's why I got a bunch of copies of the same book. Anyway, anybody got a question, comment, anything you want to add, ask, or share? TikTok, these things go through so quick, I can't. I appreciate you, movie clips and more. Glad you got value out of that. Shout out to all the people on TikTok. Sometimes TikTok the chat is crazy. Today, the chat was going a little bit slower, so I could kind of see what was happening there. Team CEO said, remember from the Periscope days. Yes, I was on Periscope. Shout out to Periscope, which got swallowed up by YouTube. Pause. I don't think I see anything else. Yes, but yeah, I was active on Periscope. That was like 2015. That was Periscope became Twitter, and then did I say TikTok? Twitter, and then the next thing I was live on, I think it might have been Instagram. Then Clubhouse. I got on Clubhouse probably about maybe about 2019. So it was a little gap. I don't know what was there before that. I think I just started podcasting. But anyway, all right. I don't see any other questions or comments here. So everybody, Work on Your Game University. That's the place where I do most of our work. Our focus is on Work on Your Game University. That's where we do our coaching programs. You can get started in our program for as little as $97 a month. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That is the link on TikTok in my bio, also on Instagram. We have higher ticket programs, of course, but you can get started for just $97 a month on Work on Your Game University. If you want to get one of my books, you can just go to thirddaybook.com, get a book. We got plenty of books. As you can see, we got plenty of books. All right, so we got plenty of books to ship out to you. All right, mail them out to you if you order one. And what else? No, I think that's it. All right, everybody have a great week. It is humid season. Make sure you stay hydrated. Drink extra water. Keep working out. Hope y'all been working out in the winter because it's summertime now. So you you're going to the beach. I hope you're ready to present yourself properly. And that's that. Everybody have a great week, great Monday. Work on your game. We out of here.